The thing that amazes me about the people marching in the streets in Australia and other cities around the Western world on Monday, chanting pro-Palestinian slogans if they aren't Palestinian, is how they can be so certain of their views in such a complex conflict. We all know Israel hasn't acted perfectly throughout history, but how on earth could you be so detached from any kind of humanity and reality itself that you could march to condemn and blame Israel alone for the consequences of its retaliation? So confident that it's all Israel's fault, and especially to do the march on October 7 anniversary. Everyone has the right in Australia to freely express their views and protest peacefully, but do it tastefully and time appropriately, or cop the criticism you deserve. One of my favourite podcast and video shows is Triggernometry. Its co-host, Konstantin Kisin, expressed the way that a lot of us in Australia probably feel about this whole thing.
It's not a conflict I studied at university or read about extensively. People on both sides who care passionately about this issue find it hard to believe, but in truth, most people are like this.
That's right. I was, 100%.
Instead, I read, watched and listened to the endless commentary, debates and discussions to understand what people on various sides were saying. Having gathered those perspectives, I then did my best to apply first principles thinking to the arguments I heard. Thinking from first principles means stripping whatever you're trying to analyze down to its core and working back from there.
In this new video, Konstantin announces that he's now off the fence on the war and goes on to explain why. It's an excellent video and I strongly suggest watching it in full. It's on Triggernometry's channel on YouTube.
If we take 9/11, the most impactful terrorist attack in living memory, which shook the world's dominant superpower to its very core, we see that 2,977 people were killed in a country of 285 million people.
So on a per capita basis, as far as terrorist attacks go, October 7 was equivalent to 12 9/11s, before accounting for the hostages taken and killed since.
So the obvious question is, if thousands of armed Mexicans had penetrated the southern border of the United States, killed 36,000 Americans, and dragged off thousands of hostages, how would America have reacted? Would there still be a Mexico to speak of? Whatever your view of the history of this conflict, I believe the logic of this is impenetrable. However, there are some persuasive arguments from the anti-Israel camp which are aimed at contextualizing October 7th. Let's look at them.
And he does throughout the rest of the video. 4 main points, in fact. The first of which is that history didn't start on October 7. Israel is an illegitimate state that was created because land belonging to Palestinians was taken by Western powers and given to European Jews, the Ashkenazi Jews fleeing the Holocaust.
If we believe every pro-Palestinian claim and accept that Israel was created through the forced placement of European Jews in a foreign land by Western powers, we must look for a comparable situation in which a country was created through some form of displacement of the native population. Most of you live in such a country. The United States, Australia, New Zealand and Canada are all the products of invasion, colonization and brutal conquest. If you go back far enough, so is almost every other country in the world. Like it or not, Israel exists. It's home to over 9 million people. The idea that they would, could or should accept the destruction of what is now their country is absurd. The United States government would not tolerate missile strikes and terrorist rampages from Native American reservations. Neither would any government of any country under any circumstances.
I can see the reason why the left and the indigenous radical left movement are so aligned with the Palestinian movement now. From the river to the sea, and always was, always will be, are linked. The leftists never miss an opportunity to hijack someone else's cause. Anyway, one of the other 3 common arguments against Israel that Konstantin explores is the idea that Israel's attacks are indiscriminate and designed to inflict civilian casualties.
This is actually the simplest argument of the 4 to address because it is an empirical matter. The war in Gaza is not the first conflict in human history. We can compare the ratio of combatant to civilian deaths in this war to others. What happens when we do? Historically, urban warfare operations result in a casualty ratio of 9 civilians for every 1 enemy fighter killed. In Gaza, it is 2 to 1. In other words, despite the deliberate attempts by Hamas to increase the number of civilian casualties, Israel has been extraordinarily successful in reducing them. This doesn't mean that there won't be incidents in which innocent Palestinians are killed and, as in any war, there will likely be war crimes committed by both sides. but overall, the numbers don't lie. If you need further evidence that claims of Israel's indiscriminate attacks are nonsense, just look at the way various commentators reacted to what has been dubbed Operation Grim Beeper. Thousands of Hezbollah pages were rigged with explosives and then detonated simultaneously, killing and injuring thousands of terrorists and a small number of bystanders. The pages in question were not picked at random. Israel specifically selected a batch of senior Hezbollah operatives. And still, people like Hamza Yusuf, Scotland's former First Minister, complain about Israel's indiscriminate attacks. This was definitionally the most precise, targeted and surgical large-scale anti-terrorist operation in human history.
That's Triggernometry's Konstantin Kisin there with what I think is an incisive, objective, open-minded, good faith analysis of the facts of the current war, which makes me really wonder why there's so much uncertainty about. Are we being brainwashed by anti-Israel propaganda? I'm sick of people making me feel bad for supporting Israel in this war. I have considered the history, thanks, and I'm most concerned about our present and future peace and prosperity. With all the government crackdown on freedom of speech and digital IDs and marketing companies manipulating your information, you would be crazy not to have a virtual private network on your laptop and phone. In fact, all of your devices. I was once a bit afraid of how these things work, that they might, slow down my internet speed or be too complicated to set up. But private internet access is terrific. And when you buy from them, you're supporting the other side too, because they're one of our sponsors. So to help keep yourself safe from big government and big corporations with a VPN, get onto private internet access. We have done a fantastic deal just for other side viewers. You're going to get 83% off the usual price and 4 months free. That brings it down to just $2.68 a month, a half a cup of coffee. It's amazing. You just got to use the special access code that you can see on your screen right now. That is piavpn.com, piavpn.com/other side, and you'll get that discount if you do that, okay? It's super easy to download, super easy to get running. Literally just takes a few minutes, and it's always on. It didn't slow down my internet speed one bit. And a side benefit is that I can now watch Netflix using my Netflix account as if I'm in any country in the world, which opens up the whole global Netflix library to me. And best of all, by using PIA, you're supporting the other side in a very big way and helping us to keep on providing an alternative to the mainstream media focused on Aussie news. piavpn.com/other side. Get on it. If you like that clip, there's more where that came from in our full show, The Other Side. You can watch it right here, the latest episode. And please subscribe to our channel by pressing the subscribe button right here or down here. And remember to click that notification bell too. It all helps. Join us and become part of The Other Side.